That is his view. If we can't get something done, and things have been moving very slowly between the two countries, until the president himself called President Xi and said, let's restart, let's try to get things going again. And then since then he's made positive comments about that. So we will see. As I said, the key U.S. goals around growth and prosperity, and our economy is in good shape. Theirs is not. I'll just leave it right there. John, do you want to add stuff to that? Do you want me to take some questions? You sure? Okay, good. Let me take some questions and try to help out on this. Yes?
Bill, I'd like you to address some concerns recently from representatives of Italy and France and Germany who say that we're actually backing away from the national stage, and they fear that Russia will be the dominant economic force in Europe and the Middle East in the coming years. Could you address those concerns, A, and B, can you tell us a little bit, if you can, about the layoffs at GM?
Well, I'll talk to you about GM layoffs. Regarding the Russian story, I'm going to leave that to my longtime friend and colleague, John Bolton. I met with Mary Barra yesterday, and we had a lengthy conversation about the layoffs, the cause of the layoffs. It's a great disappointment. Obviously, the president indicated his own disappointment. He believes, as frankly the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, believes, that the USMCA deal was a great help to the automobile industry and to auto workers. And by the way, they made those statements separately. And yet, GM comes in right after the deal. By the way, that deal will be signed in Argentina with the U.S. And Canadian representative. So there's great disappointment there. There's disappointment that it seems like GM would rather build its electric cars in China rather than in the United States. We are going to be looking at certain subsidies regarding electric cars and others, whether they should apply or not. I can't say anything final about that, but we're looking into it. Again, that reflects the president's own disappointment regarding these actions. Ms. Barrett told me, on the other hand, to be completely fair here, it's her business, it may be possible to transfer workers to other plants in Texas and Michigan. I'm not an expert on General Motors. I'm not an analyst, auto analyst, but that's what she said. But obviously there's a lot of disappointment, even anger. I've heard it, again, from Mr. Trudeau, from President Trump, from Democrats and Republicans.
Just to follow, do you think it's going to adversely affect our economy coming into the Christmas season and after?
No, I mean, look, I don't want anybody to get laid off. I want workers to do very well. I want worker wages to do well, and they are. I mean, that's one of the great things. You know, there's a certain amount of pessimism that I'm reading about. Maybe it has to do with really a mild stock market correction. Let's not forget, a couple weeks ago, just on this very point, we had 250,000 new jobs, which was a blockbuster number. Nobody really expected it. With a 3.1% yearly gain in wages and a 3.7% unemployment rate, those are very spiffy numbers by any benchmark, in any metric. So again, holiday season layoffs from GM, brutal, all right? Very disappointing. Will it affect the overall economy? I don't think so. I do not think so. Yes?
Yeah, back to the question of the tariffs. If these talks with President Xi go nowhere, and we move forward with this escalation of the tariffs that you just described, which, correct me if I'm wrong, would be the biggest addition of tariffs that we've seen in your lifetime, what will the impact be on the U.S. economy? I mean,
that's a long period of time you mentioned in my life.
But you've been a committed free trader for almost all of those years.
Yeah.
So what will be the impact on the U.S. economy if we see tariffs go up to the degree that you just described?
You know, we'll see what happens, okay? I don't want to presuppose anything. The president's going to make up his mind after the meeting, but I will say this. Our economy's in very good shape right now, and when you multiply through whatever numbers you want to use, 250 billion, or tack on another tranche, which may or may not happen, at a 10% tariff rate or more, it's really just a fraction of our economy. Okay, it's just a fraction of our economy. I'm not suggesting that there aren't winners and losers in that game. It's a complicated game. But on the other hand, I think we are in far better shape to weather this than the Chinese are. And I'll also say one thing. I appreciate your characterization. I am a free trader. But you have to ask yourself, and this is what President Trump has been talking about, is it free trade when there's clear evidence of unfair and WTO illegal trading practices by China for several decades? Is that fair? Is that free? Is it free when intellectual property theft occurs, or when Chinese ownership of American companies force transference of technology from American companies to the Chinese companies? Is that fair? Or high tariffs on agriculture and industrial supplies? Is that fair? So President Trump is the first president in, I don't know, at least 20 years, and I'm including Democrats and Republicans, who not only has made this case, but continues to make this case forcefully and to take actions to defend American workers and our overall economy. Other presidents in both parties have raised the issue and then walked away from it. And President Trump obviously doesn't intend to. You know, this is under the heading, I think, for him of promises made, promises kept. Is something he's talked about for several years, and he now continues. If China will come to the table, or in this case, the dinner table, with some new ideas and some new attitudes and some new cooperation, as the president said, there's a good possibility they can make a deal. He's open to it. So nothing is written in cement or stone. But again, for a free trader, where's the free trade? And for several months now, since I've been here, the president and I have talked about this. We'd love to see a world of zero tariffs and zero non-tariff barriers and zero subsidies. We'd love to see that world. But unfortunately, we don't have that world, particularly with respect to China, but not only China. And so he's taking actions that he thinks will get us closer to that world. Let me go around. Yes, please.
Just another GM question. When the president said yesterday they better damn well open a new plant there very quickly, was he just venting his frustration, or does he have some consequences in mind if they don't?
I'm going to leave that to him. You may find additional announcements coming on that topic. Some more. Let me go on the back. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask you about what Ambassador Shui Tiankai said recently to the Wall Street Journal. Ambassador Shui Tiankai, the Chinese ambassador to the United States, his thought was that there would be a real risk to global
Now, if he would do his part, or his government would do their part, then we can all make a much better point. That's what